From the Grayman Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more. Now, for your situational awareness, Super Essie will be reading out the latest update. Get briefs sent in real time at graymanbriefing.com. That's Gray with an A. Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is a very short summary this week. We are going to look at those claims about the Hells Angels moving into Colorado in response to the apartment takeovers by TDA. We'll also talk about that claim that the National Guard is mobilizing in New York ahead of the sentencing of Trump. We're also going to touch on a few other things like the Marines that were attacked in Turkey and some Second Amendment rulings. Let's go ahead and begin with communications and preparedness. Customers using AT&T services experienced significant disruptions. Now, they're saying it's not nationwide, but we saw in Arkansas, Florida, Illinois, California, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio, Texas, and New York. A software issue caused outages, leaving customers unable to call 911 or connect to the wireless network. This was on August 28th, so by early August 28th, services were restored. The disruptions followed a similar incident that also happened in August of last year, for which AT&T just recently settled a lawsuit with the Federal Communications Commission to pay $950,000. These outages are continuing. We seem to be reporting about them every month. Let's move into global conflict, infrastructure, communications, and national security. Russia's Security Council Deputy Chairman recently warned about the possibility of destroying undersea fiber optic cables, which carry over 95% of international data. This includes internet services, financial transactions, and GPS networks. The threat is seen as part of a broader strategy to undermine Western infrastructure without direct conflict. NATO and other Western countries are increasingly worried and are considering stronger defenses. Analysts suggest Russia might act more aggressively if a Harris administration, likely to continue supporting Ukraine, comes to power. If you're interested in our information on this one, head to the Grayman Briefing, graymanbriefing.com, for the sources there and the statements made by Russia. And those current events. So there were unsubstantiated claims that the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club was planning to confront the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, in Aurora, California. Did I say California? I definitely meant Colorado. To combat criminal activity. So we looked at OSINT and a good number of human sources. We found no evidence to support this claim. Most of the videos being shared are from like a month or so ago. This one seems pretty busted, but we'll wait and keep monitoring. Also, those rumors that the New York Police Department officers are planning a mass sick call-out, or the Blue Flu, if former President Trump is sentenced to prison on September 18th in New York. They still appear just to be rumors. The claim also suggests pre-deployment orders have been issued to the New York National Guard to maintain order post-sentencing. However, these claims also remain unverified. Most of the people sharing this they're like these clickbait accounts. So be careful who you're following and tracking there. Let's look at the Federal Open Market Committee. This is under the Economy Briefing. FOMC is predicting interest rate cuts this fall after a 20-year high. The Federal Reserve will discuss possible rate cuts on September 17th, with a 70% chance of a 25-point basis cut and a 30% chance of a 50 basis point cut. The U.S. dollar index is at a year-to-date low and could decrease further, leading to potential changes in Bitcoin trading and other investments. Actually, things are looking pretty good for Bitcoin. I think it's up, I want to say like 30% this year. It did have a little drop in late August, but things are pretty favorable for Bitcoin in September. Now, continuing on with national security, global conflict, U.S. Marines from the USS Wasp were on shore leave in Turkey. They were assaulted by Islamic extremists, including members of the Turkish youth group and the Vatan Party. The attackers identified the Marines as U.S. service members and attacked them, placing a plastic bag over one Marine's head while shouting anti-U.S. chants. The USMC in Turkey and the U.S. 6th Fleet confirmed the attack. 13 to 15 extremists were arrested and all Marines were recovered. Let's talk about the supply chain and labor force. So on August 22nd, over 9,000 rail workers in Canada went on strike and then almost immediately were forced to stop their labor action after the federal government there in Canada responded. It disrupted the delivery of coal, wheat, fertilizer, lumber, and consumer goods, but of course there was a quick recovery there. Separately, the U.S. dock workers' strike continues to loom, with the International Longshoremen's Association planning a walkout on October 1st, which could close 6 of the 10 largest U.S. ports and disrupt the supply chain until early 2025. So basically, if this strike does happen for just a day, if there's a strike for just a day, they project it'll take 6 days to recover from that one-day strike. So if we're looking at a 2-week strike, then the whole shipping supply chain here in America is going to be disrupted probably until February of next year. Okay, finally, let's look at the Second Amendment. A federal court has upheld a decision that illegal immigrants do not possess Second Amendment protections. The Fifth Circuit declined to revisit its previous decision in the U.S. versus Portillo Munoz, maintaining that recent Supreme Court rulings do not invalidate this precedent. The court argued that illegal aliens are not included in the people protected by the Second Amendment, as they are not citizens or legally present in the U.S. So that is it for this week's kind of truncated summary of recent developments. Remember, these briefings are delivered in real time to Grayman Briefing subscribers, sent via Telegram and Signal apps, also via weekly emails. Due to time constraints and the risk of censorship, we can't cover it all here. Please do interact with this broadcast to help increase engagement and views. Thanks for listening, and as always, remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe. Thanks, everyone.
Get unredacted, real-time briefings sent via email and through the Telegram and Signal apps by joining the Grayman Briefing.